Друзья, добрый день. Сегодня мы встречаемся с председателем организации фино-израильской дружбы, постоянным советником в финском парламенте, телеведущим, писателем, автором многих книг Ристо Хувила. Ристо, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I've been here in Israel for almost a week, and it's always great to be back here.
Thank you. So probably better weather in Finland right now.
A bit.
So first of all, I would like to thank you for the strong support that you are providing to Israel. And I'm just listening to your podcast and I'm looking for your TV channel. And just thank you one more time. Thank you very much for your support. I wanted to ask you about your personal journey. How you became so strong supporter for Israel.
Long story short, about 20 years ago, it was Father's Day in 2005. I'm calling what happened then divine intervention. So as a Christian, active Christian, Israel hadn't meant much for me until that time. But then how I'm explaining it, that it was God's intervention into my life. Not directly related to Israel. I needed to deal certain things with God. And suddenly after few weeks, I felt and I found a huge interest in Israel within me. And I wanted to know the story of Israel, what the Bible says about Israel. Even though I had read Bible since my early teenage years, and I thought I knew pretty much about it. But of course, as Christians, the New Testament is the key thing. I thought so. So I hadn't paid too much attention to the Old Testament, Tanakh.
Yeah.
So I started to read the Bible from the Genesis, and I wanted to know what's God's plan for the Jewish people, for the Israelites first, and that journey started from the scriptures, from the pages of the Bible. Then after maybe 2 years' time, I wanted to know if these biblical stories and prophecies match with history. And I remember I bought dozens of books from Amazon, and I wanted to know about the Jewish history. And when I looked and read about the Jewish history and the biblical prophecies and stories, it was like wow effect. So how Jews were dispelled from Israel, and the prophet said that in the end of the days they would come back. And from the history books, I found that okay, it's year 70 A.D. The Roman emperor pushed them out, most of them out here, and suddenly in the midst of the 19th century they started to return. And that's one example. But
it's a miracle.
It's a miracle that a nation that has been away for almost 2,000 years returns to their ancient homeland, speaks the same language, and believes in the same God, and have the same tradition and cultural and spiritual heritage. So that was interesting. And after these two layers, biblical, historical, so I've been excited to follow the political situations in here and around the world, and especially in the European Union, Finland, and of course the United States, what's going on and how the world sees Israel and how it's doing. But I must say that through my findings from the Bible, and as I was comparing the Bible with the Jewish history, so I think that the English word history should be actually two different words. It's about his story. It's about God's
Nice.
story about the Jewish people that the Bible is all about. And that's fascinating.
Right. Okay. Risto, I have seen that you organize and participate in a lot of demonstrations in Finland to support Israel, even
Mm.
with our flags all around the Helsinki. Just
Okay.
what kind of reaction are you getting from citizens of Finland?
Mm. So yes, we've been doing that not by myself only, but with members of the pro-Israel community. So, and our latest demonstration was, I think it was in the beginning of May. So we started at the stairs of the Parliament of Finland. We marched on the main street and to the Senate Square, which is a big square uh, on the Helsinki Cathedral. We were about 1,000 people, but we really occupied the downtown of Helsinki, and I was so much enjoying when the police stopped the traffic for about 20 minutes and there were cars queuing up for and sawing the blue and white Israeli flags and some Finnish flags also, of course. And the reactions from the people, um, none. So we were surprised. We were expecting some harassment. So we have a very not very big but very loud pro-Palestinian groups from the universities, from students, and but even though we had made it public that we will have this pro-Israel march, so we had nothing negative, and we were proudly and happily marching through the downtown Helsinki.
It's nice. But you mentioned right now that the pro-Palestinians group, they are located inside of universities.
Right.
Could you explain me what is the reason that we are facing support for Palestinians, specifically in the universities?
Mm.
Why it's happening in Europe?
I think the main support for Palestine and Palestinians comes from the left. Anti-Semitism comes from the left. Hatred towards Israel comes from the left. The university teachers are mostly from the left. And those leftist students and people in general, they are pro-LGBT, etc. Communities and people. They are pro-women. They are different types of feminists.
Yeah.
And equality, inclusion, this kind of keywords are on their lips from the early morning till the late night.
But by the way, I think that everybody is starting to wake up from this. So all the nice stuff like the diversity,
DEI, yeah.
yeah. And at least in the United States, they already they are closing all these facilities, and in the corporate they're closing the corporate departments that were dealing just with one simple thing, DIE. And they were recruiting people not based on their excellence, they were recruiting people based because pigmentation of their color of their skin is different, so let's recruit them. So it's just nonsense. Okay, I understand. Okay, and in Finland it's happening the same way.
The same way is that we are not, the U.S. and the Trump administration is closing down, shutting down these DIE programs, and as the defense secretary Hegseth said that it's about merit only. Nothing else but merit. And I think this is the only right way to build any organization, any military, any university. But in Finland, unfortunately, our government, even though it's kind of a center-right government, and I was expecting much more compared to, you may be familiar with our former Prime Minister, Miss Sanna Marin, who was kind of a darling of the world and young, beautiful lady. But what they did with the left-wing parties, so was something that I really hated. And they brought and opened the doors for this kind of madness. And now the existing government it has tried to shut down certain things, but there are still some voices, kind of progressive voices within our Prime Minister's party, which is a long time a right-wing, conservative, God and country type of party. But that liberal, progressive faction in the party is still they still want to continue this madness that the previous government emphasized.
Rista, I know that during your visit you met with a lot of politicians in Israel. What you can tell about the situation in Israel? Are we doing the at the maximum, to get the more support from Christians in Europe, or should we improve something, or maybe we are doing the bad things, and what should be done on our side?
Mm. Mm. First of all, support from Bible-believing Christians, which is kind of a not major part of all cultural Christians. That's the Europe is still mostly Christian if we think of cultural point of view. But if we are taking Bible-believing Christians, I don't think that Israel should do much to convince them, because we already support Israel. We understand the biblical approach to Israel and the Jewish people. But I think that those cultural Christians who don't appreciate that much prophecies and biblical things, but they understand the Jewish history, Holocaust, the only democracy in the Middle East, the only Jewish state in the world. So those are, and these are very very big values for many cultural Christians who belong to the church but don't necessarily go there, other than confirmation and funerals, and maybe in Christmas time. But so I think that's basically positive, but not that much Bible-believing population who's been pro-Israel. I think your government should do much more to convince them about what's going on here, what's going on in Gaza. Or actually, I don't know if it is up to your government, but the media in the West, and I would say in Finland at least, it is so biased. So my wife just yesterday, I sent him a message that there was a ballistic missile coming from Houthis, and Israel was able to take it down. So no harm, no injuries. And later she replied to me and said that, I watched the news and it was nothing but Israel was killing women and children in Gaza, and they are starving Palestinians. And no news about attacks Israel is facing, if not on a daily basis, at least on a weekly basis. So
Yeah, I know.
I don't know how you could deal with that.
Yeah, it's very difficult. The media is very biased, as you mentioned, and they're pro-Palestinian and anti-Zionist and anti-Israeli for all the
Mm,
time. But I hope that with assistance like people like you and
mm,
in Finland and in other places, you'll be able, maybe to make some kind of small change. And the small change will bring one more small change, and
mm.
at the end, we'll create the big change in the European minds. And
I had the opportunity to participate the foreign ministers meeting here in Jerusalem last Tuesday. It was the foreign ministers meeting related to International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, which is an governmental organization between 35 European countries plus United States and Canada. And so I was there on Tuesday evening, and I knew that the foreign minister of Finland, Elina Valtonen, was also invited to the meeting. And what I learned on Monday evening, the conference started on Tuesday. What I learned and read was the press release from our Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Helsinki. So they published a press release saying that the foreign minister Elina Valtonen visits Beirut, Lebanon, and Amman, Jordan, on the very same days when in Jerusalem there is a conference, foreign ministers' conference, marking Holocaust remembrance and fighting anti-Semitism. But our foreign minister chose to go to these next door neighbors, but not come to Jerusalem. And behind my critics is a televised parliamentary discussion on, I think it was on May 24th. And it was a discussion on Gaza only. And the whole government was answering the questions from the MPs. And especially from the left was the question repeated a million times was that what is Finland going to do to end the killing of civilians in Gaza? And both our foreign minister and prime minister, about a million times, they said that Finland will do everything to stop killing of civilians in Gaza. Finland will do everything.
and they mean everything. Yeah.
And she travels to the neighborhood. And I was sitting in the opening dinner event at the Minister of Foreign Affairs in Jerusalem. Prime Minister Netanyahu was there. Foreign Minister Gideon Saar was there. There was the Norwegian Minister of Foreign Affairs. Norway is I think the Israeli politicians see Norway as a pariah country related to Israel. So they just recently recognized the Palestinian state, what state? But he came to attend the foreign ministers' meeting. But our foreign minister, who said that we will do everything, except we will not talk to the leaders of Israel. We just criticize Israel, but we don't want to meet them. We go to those countries around it. And I was wondering what the heck Finland is doing with Beirut or Lebanon or Jordan. I don't know, but
Okay. Okay, Ристо, thank you very much. I would like to thank you one more time for your support. And yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Ристо.
thank you very much, Boris.